Thank you, Dave. Minus, or it's 8:06, in fact, minus 10 at the airport. Good morning, everyone. In about 2 hours, Provincial Finance Minister Doug Horner will release the provincial government's third quarter update ahead of tabling the provincial budget next week. Alberta's official opposition is targeting what they call the Tories' fiscal mess. The Wild Rose says it could put Alberta on a path to a balanced budget by slashing nearly $2 billion in wasteful spending and doing it without affecting much-needed services. Among the recommendations, eliminating associate ministers and their staff, reducing the number of ministers to a total of only 16 in Alberta, rolling back the 2012 pay raise, and capping the annual government travel budget to just $500,000 per year. The biggest chunk of savings, about $1 billion worth, would come from deferring capital spending over a longer period of time.
We're not talking about canceling these projects. We're not talking about canceling specific school announcements or health facilities. We're talking about stretching the capital plan over an extra year. So these things will come. It's just a matter of doing it without going into debt. That's why we're here today.
Well, Doug Horner has not commented on the Wild Rose plan. Horner's press secretary is calling it vague and simplistic. NDP leader Brian Mason, whose series of pre-budget meetings brings him to Calgary tonight, says Albertans want last year's funding cuts reversed in areas like seniors and post-secondary education. Calgary's Mayor Naheed Nenshi joining other big city mayors in the nation's capital today. They're in Ottawa talking about infrastructure, housing, and the economy. Toronto Mayor Rob Ford is making an appearance for the first time since he was elected mayor 3 years ago. He'll be making a push for big funding for his city's subway expansion plan. This group is part of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities and meets 2 to 3 times a year. In business news, RBC, our country's largest bank, says its first quarter net income was almost $2.1 billion in 1 quarter in 3 months. That's an increase of 2% year over year. With that, RBC says it's going to boost its quarterly dividend by 6%. Royal is the third of Canada's large banks to report improved net income for the 3 months ending January 31st.
BT's Market Report is brought to you by RRP, specializing in engineering, procurement, and construction management. Rapid Response Project, where every project matters.
It's now 8:08. This is going to be day 2 for students back at Willow Park School in Calgary's southeast as they settle back into their regular classrooms and regular routines. Police are still on the hunt for the person or people who started a big fire at Willow Park. The fire and acts of vandalism causing millions of dollars in damage, forcing kids out of their school for about 5 months. As you can see, rocks thrown in almost every window of Willow Park School. Investigators say they know the vandalism and fire were done on purpose, but at this point they do not have a lot to go on.
Maybe somebody's conscience will get to them. They know information with respect to who's responsible for this crime, and hopefully that in and of itself people will come forward.
Police believe there were 2 people involved, and investigators are hoping those 2 people may have talked with someone, perhaps bragging about what happened at Willow Park School. Mounties hope this is not a sign of the times. More than 30 vintage signs worth tens of thousands of dollars have been ripped off from a display at a community hall in Innisfail, just south of Red Deer. The signs were supposed to go up for auction last Sunday, but police think the theft was committed just hours before when the power was disconnected to disable an alarm system. It's believed the antique merchandise was stolen for resale. That's your news to 8:10, minus 11.